Listen to me. If there was a wise man who would ever think of this, they would say in order to be superior to the man, you've got to be the man. For I am the man himself.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, how you guys all doing on this Thursday evening? This is the Club of the Man 1993. About to wrap up another week here, and we are live once again here on YouTube for another live review of WWE's Monday Night Raw, the August 11th, 2025 edition of Raw, and it took place in Quebec City, Quebec, Canada. We're going to talk about everything that happened on this show. As always, we continue on the road to WWE's Clash in Paris, which takes place on August 31st, 2025. And I just let the dogs out, and they're still having the zoomies upstairs. I apologize about this ahead of time. We're going to get into a couple of things in this episode of Raw. We're going to have a little bit of a discussion at the beginning. Just wanted to express some thoughts I've been having recently when it comes to wrestling as a whole. We'll also briefly just talk about the latest on Karrion Kross. We also, of course, had the rumors of another pay-per-view being added in September, and rumors that John Cena's last match may be getting changed. The date, that is. Who the final match is going to be, I don't know. But there's rumors now that could be changed. And we'll explain why, of course, in a second. Which I think is starting to get a little bit ridiculous, if I'm being 100% honest. We will talk about also Naomi, because she was supposed to have a title match on this episode of Raw. But she was apparently not medically cleared to compete. And there has been some heavy rumors circulating the past couple of days. And I haven't had anything confirmed yet. But I will mention, of course, what that is. And then, of course, we will get to our review of Raw. Which, honestly, wasn't too bad. This is an episode that left me with a lot of things going, okay. But, of course, as we're going to talk about a little bit in this review, WWE has this year had great moments, but the follow-up hasn't quite hit the high note as, like, the setup, if that makes any sense. So, yeah, we're going to talk about a few things. There was another match made official for Clash in Paris on this episode of Raw as well. We're getting a fatal four-way for the World Heavyweight Championship. And by the way, also, if you have not done so yet, make sure you check out my Clash in Paris card predictions I posted last night. And we will, of course, hopefully get the love and support from there. So, we're going to talk about Raw. We're going to first check our live chat first before we get into our preliminary topics. And we will roll from there. We got our loyal friend Tyler here. Thank you for, as always, joining us, Tyler. He said, "Hi, Mike, playing the Barnyard game." The Barnyard game? Which game is that? And he also says, "Too many crap endings." I think this one was complete crap for an ending, but there's been some we've had crap endings for lately. But as always, Tyler, thank you for joining us. So, I want to start off by talking about, before I get into like my preliminary topics, there's something that's been on my mind since SummerSlam. Now, I've always mentioned that I've only been a wrestling fan for now 12 years. I first got hooked on wrestling after watching SummerSlam 2013. I'm going to be honest and always say I am definitely not the brightest and I'm not the smartest wrestling fan in the world. And I'm also not going to lie. I do watch a lot of, content creators here on YouTube. And sometimes I stoop myself lower and think I don't know as much as they do. And I'm not going to lie, sometimes my opinions... Boys, calm down! Boys! Dogs! Jeez, oh man. Anyways, sorry about that. I'm not going to lie and say sometimes, if I'm not sure how to feel about things, I usually like to see what others are saying. And I feel like sometimes I base my thoughts of like what else I hear from other people say. Which, in my opinion, does kind of hurt my image personally as a professional wrestling fan. Which is making me wonder if I should be doing these reviews more so before I listen to other people's thoughts. Because I feel like if it's my more organic opinion, then it may, put me at ease. Because I'm not going to lie. Since SummerSlam, and since the John Cena face turn, I again have been a little confused. And I feel a little bit let down. But it's kind of just like we were brought back down to a reality, if it felt like. And a lot of people, are saying that they think Triple H is starting to lose touch. He's starting to not be on point. There's things I can agree with that. I do agree that this year has not been the strongest year in the last 3 for WWE. The storytelling, I wouldn't say it's been a terrible year. But I feel like they've taken a step back. And they've done these things where they've built these moments. Like, again, a John Cena heel turn. The New Day heel turn. Other big moments as well that they just, capitalized on paper. But then the follow-through fell flat on its face. And not some of it maybe from some, coincidental circumstances or whatnot. But some of them, again, you just gotta kind of question a little bit. Are they still completely listening to the audience? A lot of people got a bad taste whenever Triple H, during the little post-show thing on SummerSlam Night 2, the crowd apparently was chanting, "We want Kross. We want Kross." And Triple H acknowledged by saying, "You want Brock? We got Brock," or whatnot. It's like they were chanting for Karrion Kross, not Brock Lesnar. Also, again, and again, I know, Brock Lesnar's not been proven guilty or innocent or anything for yet. I don't know if he's been cleared from the allegations against Mr. McMahon that he was also named in as well. But it's still the fact that there hasn't fully been anything addressed about Brock's situation. And again, it's not me saying that, he couldn't come back. It's just, I know there's fans that, aren't sure what to think. They kind of need a clear explanation as to, okay, what's the status on this? He hasn't been around because this has been going on. What's going on with this? I feel, again, it's the same thing that would happen with Velveteen Dream. They brought him back, didn't really address what was going on. And I'm not going to lie, that does kind of leave a little bit of a bad taste. And the fact that you're not quite being clear about some of these instances that fans obviously have concerns. And not all of them do, but a good portion do. And, again, it does feel like that. And here's the thing, a lot of people, again, are saying that Triple H is starting to get a mindset of Vince McMahon. although it does start to feel like there's certain things that Triple H wants to do his way, it still doesn't feel like he's completely shut the fans out, in my opinion. Here's my honest opinion, and I'm not trying to stick up for Triple H. It's no secret that Triple H hates dirt sheets. He hates Fightful Select. He hates like all these other reporters that report all these backstage rumors and whatnot. It hurts the show, which is why in WWE Unreal, which I do want to watch those episodes again, and I might do reviews on those as well, he did mention how difficult kayfabe is and how hard it is to keep a surprise a surprise. So obviously, that kind of bothers him. And I don't blame him. Sometimes maybe, being head of creative in NXT is a smaller audience. But being head of creative on the main roster, it's kind of different. Yes, I feel like there's still some stars that, although we're not getting like tons and tons of part-timers like we were when Vince McMahon was around, it still feels like some of these superstars, they're relying on nostalgia. Like, in my big example for me, DIY. I love DIY. Tommaso Ciampa and Johnny Gargano are definitely two of my modern day favorites. But I'm not, even though of course they're both heels, it still feels like they're relying on that act that made good in NXT to be, like, grasped on immediately in the main roster. And I feel like they still haven't... They've shown signs of life of getting hot, but they haven't gotten as hot as they were in NXT. Like something like that needs to evolve a little bit more. Like, what are you going to do? Are you going to break them up and do a Johnny Gargano Tommaso Ciampa feud all over again and basically tell the same story from NXT? That's what I'm worried about that happening as well. So, like, yes, like, it's different. There could be some frustrations. But the thing I will continue to say is, as long as you're not booking things that's making it obvious you're telling the fans to go screw off, then again, I'd rather have this than Vince McMahon. I'm not saying Triple H is perfect. He is not. He has had his share of L's. This year, probably more L's than he's had. As, of course, he said also during the WrestleMania press conference. The fact that, it's going to be like a song, an album. Not every song is going to be a hit. Maybe this is a year that, is fine, but not a big hit. So, although wrestling's in a very weird stage right now, I don't think it's... Again, I don't think we're like getting hit with another Vince McMahon era or whatnot. Just want to throw that out there. But I'm not going to lie, and this is going to transition into my second topic I want to talk about. So, before we get to Karrion Kross, because that's also something that kind of ties into this as well, something I do got to mention is, although I know the WWE product and TKO are doing excellent, does anybody feel like they're getting just a wee bit greedy? Like I talked about in my SmackDown review with the ESPN deal, how like those who probably won't be getting any like discounts or or anything or any deals on the pay-per-view app, the ESPN consumer to whatever heck the app is called that they're going to be doing pay-per-views on next year. You have to pay $30 for a month. The idea of where we have to pay more for less. Again, that doesn't quite throwing it. I'm sorry. Anyways, the point I'm trying to get to there is WWE is seemingly trying to go head to head with AEW a little bit more. Because there's two things that I read for rumors. One, apparently, they're thinking about adding a pay-per-view on September 20th this coming month, which is rumored to be Bad Blood. Which that apparently is where they're going to do John Cena versus Brock Lesnar. fine. Again, if you really want to do John Cena and Logan Paul and John Cena and Brock Lesnar and give the last 3 pay-per-views to someone else with John Cena, I'm okay with that. Like I said, I don't want Brock Lesnar to be John Cena's last match. That's the big thing I was complaining about this John Cena. Again, I'm not really that interested in the match, to be honest. But again, if as long as it's not the last match, I can live with it. But they're only doing this because they want to go head-to-head with AEW All Out. And then also, John Cena's last match was really supposed to be on December 13th. And I think it was going to be either a Saturday night's main event. I heard once they're going to call a show the Ruthless Aggression or whatnot. Now there's rumors they may be moving that to December 27th to go head-to-head with AEW's World's End. Like, okay, I don't mind a little bit of competition between the shows, but that's getting a little bit ridiculous. Now it feels like they're literally going after each other's throats. And again, I'm all for competition. But also, look at the partnerships we have gotten the past 5 years. WWE and TNA has been a great partnership. AEW and New Japan has been a great partnership. AEW, when they had a brief partnership with Impact, was a great thing. It kind of creates some compelling different television. That's why, heck, I've even said before, you can do the Forbidden Door pay-per-view every year, but it doesn't have to always be AEW versus New Japan. Like, why can't one year we get an AEW versus WWE Forbidden Door pay-per-view? Because I have no interest in Forbidden Door, just so you know, for this year. I look at the card, most of it is AEW stars being featured. And the few New Japan or CMLL stars or whatever that other brand is called that are featured, it's like they feel like they're in the background. Again, the whole Hidden Door concept is dead to me right now because of the fact that they keep doing the same brand over and over again. And because of that, and you're constantly now doing shows just to outdo the other ones, it's like, it's gonna make everybody look petty in the long run. You don't need to have, maybe one time a year. Okay. But especially after how much we got the weekend of All In with Evolution, Saturday Night's Main Event, NXT's Great American Bash. I couldn't watch them all. Again, I didn't watch Great American Bash. And of course also how long All In was. Again, maybe once a year, but if you're, now it feels like they're trying to go head to head with them with every single show. And to me, it's not worth doing that. It's just getting ridiculous. Like, the pricing's getting ridiculous. And this is getting ridiculous. Like, don't be petty. Again, if you want to have some go head to head once or twice a year, fine. But it's how many other shows now are doing it now? It's settle down. Karrion Kross. Last topic, and then I'll save Naomi for when we get to what did happen with the women's match in the end on Raw. So, as we talked about before, Karrion Kross' contract expired this past weekend. As of now, he's a free agent. But it does sound like he still has interest in trying to stay with the company. He wants to stay with the company. He posted an hour-long documentary talking about how some things went down. And first off, don't forget this. Karrion Kross was one of the first people Triple H brought back whenever he took over creative in 2022. Of course, the sad part is most of those guys he brought back, most of them are already gone again. The only ones I can think of on top of my head that are still here, and actually, here, let me pull up the app. There's 3 of them off the top of my head I know that I know that are still here. And that, of course, is Johnny Gargano, Bronson Reed, and Dexter Lumis. Well, let me see who else here did he bring back that. Well, I mean, most recent ones I won't count, but in 2022, before Vince came back. Let me see here. Well, B-Fab's kind of in there because of Hit Row. I talked about Bronson Reed. Candice LeRae. I forgot. I gotta include Candice in there as well. Chelsea Green just makes the cut. Who else do we got? Yeah, I said Dexter Lumis. Eric Rowan was later on. Okay, I don't. Yeah, Johnny, I said, was one. LA Knight was basically saved because he was Max Dupri before Triple H took over. That was god awful. Mia Yim, okay, that's a good one. I forgot to mention Mia. Nia was later. I won't count her. Of course, there was the R-Truth situation as well. I think that's it, I guess. Yeah, I think I got it right. Well, Uncle Howdy was when Bray Wyatt came back, so that kind of counts there as well too. But yeah, not many people that Triple H brought back are still here, and the few that are still here, they're kind of hanging on by a thread as well too. But Karrion Kross, again, when you watch this documentary, and his interview with Ariel Helwani, whatever his last name was, I always mispronounce it. I mentioned even too in his interviews with Chris Van Vliet the past several years, Karrion Kross is an artistic genius. This guy knows a lot more than what they seem to display on television. And with someone like that, and for the crowd reaction he's getting, and also the fact that this guy tried to negotiate a new contract back in January, and yet they didn't re-sign him. And I get it. There's always so many people you can put on top at once. I get it. I get that, you want to make the audience happy. But I get you also have the people in mind that you want to put in that spot as well. I get it. Again, as whenever I've had a chance to do, video gigs in real life for money, it's like you're taking the customer's creativity and mixing it with yours. I get the whole thing. But, it's like R-Truth. When the crowd is wanting them and you had no choice to bring them back, and even someone like Karrion Kross, who's expressing an interest in coming back, and yet you don't really, you kind of more so one, don't want him to, get over, and be a babyface. Again, that's very Wade Barrett-esque. Again, Wade Barrett, when he was Bad News Barrett, was getting over like crazy. But Vince didn't want to turn him face because he wanted him to be a heel. So he made him Bad News Barrett, who didn't cut promos because of that. Eventually, of course, it led to him leaving the company and whatnot. But, it's like, that's another thing where you wonder, what's going on? Again, yes, maybe he has some work to do in the ring. But storytelling-wise, again, the guy has a lot of pros to him. So I still hope that, because even he was also told too, again, he was kind of told also that, this is not the direction they want to go in right now. So I get it. Maybe there's not room for him at the top right now. But that's someone you should still keep around, because when that space opens up, slide him right in. Because I really think Karrion Kross could have been much more bigger having you give him the time. I still think he should have won the feud with Sami Zayn. Again, if the goal is to make Sami Zayn a world champion by next year's WrestleMania, that's fine. And again, he knows how to play an underdog character. You could have had him lose this feud to Karrion Kross and still gotten into WrestleMania. Again, it's like, even though it wasn't planned, it's like what happened with Daniel Bryan and Bray Wyatt. The feud he had before Bryan was they were forced to put Bryan in the WrestleMania main event storyline. That kind of feud in between with Bray Wyatt was good because it was a story that kind of set Daniel Bryan really to the bottom, and then he rose back up. You could have done that with Sami Zayn and put over Karrion Kross. But again, though, like when you think about like what happened with R-Truth and how like, although I've heard rumors that he did go away for some tour briefly, also, like what have they really done with him other than like putting them back to being R-Truth instead of Ron Killings and not being as serious? Like if they're going to still, you know, not really give us much for R-Truth, you think if they would re-sign Karrion Kross, they would commit to him and give him the time he should have on TV? I'm not sure. So, we'll see what happens. And apparently also, they gave him 24 hours to sign a contract last week. And apparently the contract he was offered originally didn't have Scarlett involved. But then they said something like, you know, oh, we're getting to her if we can get you. Yeah, something strange is going on there. But just my brief thoughts on that. All right, we're almost a half an hour in. Let's get to Monday Night Raw and talk about it. Thank you guys for sticking around if you have. I just had a lot of preliminary stuff I want to get off my chest. Again, leave your guys' thoughts also about the current product. Are you losing faith Triple H again? I'm not. I get why if he probably has his frustrations with creative. But again, like I said, as long as he continues to not, you know, purposely insult fans like Vince did, then, you know, it is what it is. And other things we talked about as well. The whole thing with, you know, trying to go head-to-head with AEW and whatnot. All that jazz. You know, all that stuff to talk about. Karrion Kross. Leave your guys' thoughts about that. Now, let's talk about Monday Night Raw. So again, Monday Night Raw took place in Quebec City, Quebec, Canada. We opened up the show with CM Punk opening us up. Greets us. And then he says the reaction makes it really hard for him to be angry. But he remembers he should be representing them as their world champion. And he's not happy he's not. He has a Seth Rollins problem. And ironically, he can't see what's right in front of his face. And that's that. He's trying to be CM Punk, and he's not succeeding. He has everybody watch SummerSlam. He says he finally climbed to the mountain. Became champion for the first time in 12 years. And he appreciates all the CM Punk chants, but he can't help but feel he's let us down. He won't apologize, but he'll say if you thought he was driven and obsessed to become champion before, well, wait till you see now. Seth is following him in every footsteps, pretending to be him. Pretending to be injured so he can cash in when the time is right. But he needs to know he's going to take his title back, and then Seth won't have to pretend to be injured anymore because Punk is going to break both of his legs. Then out comes L.A. Knight. Yeah! First time these two together had a face-to-face promo. He gets in there, and he extends a hand. Punk shakes it. They shake a few off-mic works before Punk asks him, you got something to say? And Knight says, of course he does. So, let me talk to you. He knows, and everybody else knows, Punk was robbed at SummerSlam. Climbed the mountain, rose to the moment, beat Gunther, and then, with a shadow of a doubt, he does deserve a rematch. Which Punk offers a, yeah. I did like how Punk kept like, you know, like, just chillingly saying, yeah, whatnot. But then I continue to say, but last week, he had a match against Seth. Oh, nail right here. And what did he do? Punk got involved and cost Knight his opportunity. And he gets it, but it was wrong place, wrong time. So Punk doesn't have a problem. He's telling Punk they don't have a problem, and he'd like to keep it that way. But he needs Punk. He needs to get Rollins. And LA Knight wants him to get Seth and whoop his ass. And he wants him to do it after the bell rings. Bottom line, though, is LA Knight thinks he deserves a rematch first. And Punk should get his rematch. And, but he basically says he thinks I should get it after he wins the title. So, basically, it was like, Punk was like, that's not happening, blah, 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 you're not getting involved in my business, all this, and that. So they're starting to, of course, argue a little bit. Paul Heyman comes out with Braun Breaker and the Shulathfala, the tribal thief, Bronson Reed, wearing the 2 pairs of Roman's shoes he's stolen so far. Heyman tried to speak in French and gave up after naming a couple of French wrestlers and asked the crowds before telling LA Knight to take it from the Oracle. He shouldn't get into the favor business with CM Punk. Start trading favors with a man and it will cost you your self-respect, your position in the company, half your career, years of your life, and all this and that. Punk then calls Heyman a crybaby and asks him if he's going to piss his pants and someone's getting punched in the face tonight, so come on down. Heyman jumps to the chase and suggests them doing a tag match. And at first they were stumbling, and then Punk speaks for the both of them and said that they accept. Of course, LA Knight's like, I didn't say I accepted that though, and then they kind of argued a little bit, but obviously he's some further tension. But that sets him up for the tag match later on in the main event of the show. Judgment Day has a backstage segment after this where Dominik Mysterio was chilling with El Grande Americano in the clubhouse to talk strategy for a tag match against AJ Styles and Dragon Lee. Finn Balor though pulls him aside and says he's good at reading the room and the rest of Judgment Day don't want Americano here. And Dom says he's the king of the luchadors and he's only using Grande to win the AAA Mega Championship at Triple Mania. Finn's like, okay, that's fine. But really, is it? I don't know. But then the tag match with AJ Styles and Dragon Lee versus Dominik Mysterio and El Grande Americano I thought was really well done. Some great action on both ends. They're still teasing another match with AJ Styles and Dominik Mysterio, which honestly, they should. Again, I didn't know what stipulation to use, so because of course, Dominik was escaping out of his submission hold with his boot, I was saying that, it's going to be a submission match. But I do think that they should get AJ Styles on the card in Paris. Last year when they went to Léon, France, wherever it was called, and how even though AJ was a heel against Cody, he was super popular for sure. So I think they should put him on the card. And I'll even say this. You can have AJ Styles win the IC title and then do him and John Cena one last time. For Cena going for the only title he's never won, the IC title. Just saying, that could be interesting. You can have Cena even drop it back to Dom if you want. But just an interesting little catch there to put in there. But Dominik Mysterio and El Grande Americano do win the tag match. Again, it was very well done and whatnot. I believe the two of them are going to be in the Fatal 4-Way for the AAA World Title, whatever they call it, at Triple Mania and whatnot. So, we got that. We also have footage from Sami Zayn talking to Adam Pearce about his match with Rusev. Sheamus gets involved, and Sami basically tells him, please don't get involved with the match. After the match is over, you can have him all you want. So they did have the match. The match was fine, but then it gets interrupted because Solo Sikoa and the MFTs show up on Raw and beat down Sami because Sami beat Solo on Friday, and I'm like, who wants to see that? So that kind of took a damper out of it, and then Sheamus did come out after the interference from the MFTs, and he brawls with Rusev. Not gonna lie, the Sheamus and Rusev feud's getting a little boring to me. Because they keep having just regular one-on-one matches, and it feels like the feud's getting more and more personal, but they're not illustrated with a stipulation. Maybe an old-fashioned Donnybrook match or something will give it a go. But hopefully it comes around soon, because I'm starting to head-scratch and wonder, when they're going to get to the next level with all that as well. But before we had that match, though, we had a backstage segment with Io Sky, who was supposed to take on Naomi for her women's world title on the show. And, of course, the winner of that match would face Stephanie Vaquera Clash in Paris. Well, Naomi wasn't medically cleared to compete for Raw this past week. And the latest rumors I'm hearing is Naomi may be pregnant. Which that's so, then congrats to both her and Jimmy, of course. If that is the case, though, it just sucks that it had that. She's got to relinquish the title right when she's probably in the middle of probably one of her best runs of her career. And, but you know, it's I know that they both have been wanting children for a while, so I do kind of hope this is true for them. Again, it would suck to see Naomi already have to drop the act right now and go away for a while to be a mother. But, you know, same time, just back and forth. But, so as of now, it's still going to be Naomi versus Stephanie Vaquera clash in Paris. If Naomi, though, is in fact pregnant, she won't be wrestling, I wonder where they're going to go with this. Because, well, first off, we had Io have a backstage, and a match with her and Roxanne gets set for later on in the show. And then also, the Kabuki Warriors confronted Io and said, you need help tonight? And she's like, nah, I got this. And then later on in the night, they had the match. And first off, and the Kabuki Warriors tried to help, but they ended up costing Io, and Roxanne gets the pin. And afterwards, there seemed to be a little bit of dissension between the Kabuki Warriors and Io Sky. So that's kind of like, wonder where this is going. But a big win for Roxanne. And also there was a backstage where Stephanie, after Io was arguing with the Kabuki Warriors, Stephanie Vaquera walks up and just reminds that, you know, you're not the only one who's looking for their championship shot. And even Rhea Ripley tries to, you know, buddy up with Io Sky, but Io wasn't buying into it. So if the rumors are true that Naomi is pregnant and she is dropping the championship, of course, because of that, what do you do at Clash in Paris? Again, the only person that we know for sure is guaranteed to get a shot for a women's championship at Clash in Paris is Stephanie Vaquera. But at first I thought maybe they'll do Stephanie and Io. But then again, Roxanne just beat Io. And then Rhea's still lurking around it. So, I mean, they could do a Fatal 4-Way. But we already have a Fatal 4-Way, though, for Clash in Paris. And you guys know how I am about, you know, multiple multi-man matches. But that was interesting to see where that's all going to go. And the match with Roxanne and Io again was really good, of course, too. Her and Io and Roxanne have great chemistry. And Io is still putting on some of the best matches ever this year, for sure, when she has those cuffs taken off. There was also a backstage where Jey Uso showed up. He said it hurt that he wasn't able to be at Raw unless he took care of some personal stuff, and it hurt seeing Roman get attacked, which was supposed to write him off for a Street Fighter. He missed it, and he tells The Vision they're all on notice. And he also wants a title match as well. LA Knight rolls up and talks some trash and says, the line for the title starts behind him. And Jay tells him he's going to send him to the back of the line. Yeet. We then have a brief women's IC title match with Becky Lynch and Maxxine Dupri. Maxxine got a couple moments of offense on Becky. Not a lot, but Becky does get the victory. Afterwards, Becky kicks Natalya. I guess we're going to be in the match with them, or is this just a way to stall until we get to Becky and Nikki, which is probably happening at Clash in Paris. Ugh. Not the biggest fan of that, for sure, but whatever. Seth Rollins was backstage with The Vision, and he basically told us that he has the faith in them in their match tonight, so he's going to catch a jet and ride off. Or did he? This part was definitely my favorite part of the show, though. So we get this eerie promo from Bayley, who is deeply bummed, and she talks about how much she doesn't know where she's going right now. How the role model gimmick came together very naturally, but now she's all alone, and she feels all this has gotten her nowhere. And then afterwards, there was some blackout shot. Then all of a sudden, you kind of hear this evil laugh. Which, either way, whichever way it goes, I still thought it was a very interesting tone. Especially as they're really emphasizing how much rock bottom Bayley's hit. Again, like, this is another one too I mentioned earlier about how, like, they're teasing something like bigger and upcoming, but they're not capitalizing on it. And I really, again, this is the reason why I still feel like they should have done Becky versus Bayley at SummerSlam. Because that kind of had a little more of a longer term story to it, other than a teacher versus student feud like Lyra and Becky was. And again, when Bayley turned face last year, she didn't really have much momentum behind her transition from back to being a heel to a face. Now, though, with what's been happening this year with her missing WrestleMania, her missing SummerSlam, her booking, her opportunities and whatnot. Again, and even, of course, what she said on CVV's interview about how, her being a good soldier doesn't seem to be getting her anywhere. Just like it is with other people, people have mentioned that as well, too. She's not the only one. Again, the idea is we know they want Bayley to go heel. And they want them to get Lyra, the babyface of them they want to get. Lyra Valkyria is someone that Triple H is not going to give up on. And again, I don't blame him. She's a great in-ring talent. But again, she's still green as a character. I still think it needs to be Lyra being the one to turn heel and not Bayley. But they're probably going to give it to Bayley first, then probably see that's not working and do a double turn. We'll see, though. But yeah, that promo she had was definitely my favorite part of the show. Lyra was backstage saying she just disowning that she has anything to do with what's going on with Bayley, and, it was just weird and whatnot. Main event time, Bron and Bronson taking on CM Punk and LA Knight. Match was good, but got interrupted when Seth Rollins came in to attack. Jey Uso also kept trying to help out too, but it wasn't any use. And Adam Pearce made the Fatal 4-Way match official for Clash in Paris between Seth Rollins, LA Knight, and CM Punk, and Jey Uso. Cool. And that's Raw, guys. Again, some interesting stuff. Again, especially the Bayley promo. I loved the Bayley promo. Just please don't turn her heel for this. Keep her as a face. Again, this is the story that's giving her the babyface sympathy she's needed since turning face again last year. So we'll see where it all goes, where everything goes as well. Clash of Paris has shaped up to be a decent card so far. Again, we'll see, of course, what happens with Naomi, if she is in fact pregnant, or what's going on with her. And again, what does that mean for the women's world title match with Stephanie Vaquer at Clash of Paris? We'll have to, of course, wait and see. So, guys, B+ for Raw this week. What are you guys' thoughts on this episode of Raw? Leave your thoughts down in the comment section below. Slap a like on the video and subscribe for more content on my channel. Follow me on Twitter as well at the Club of the Man 93. And also, before we go off the air, Tyler had a couple more comments in the live chat. Can AJ Styles face anyone else? He is stuck in this Judgment Day crap. Like I said, I would like to see him beat Dom for the IC title at Clash. And it would be cool to see AJ Styles defend that IC title against John Cena, maybe at Crown Jewel. Just saying, that'd be interesting for sure to do, because they've had a good history of matches as well. And why can't we just get Seth and Punk for the world title, but we're getting a Fatal 4-Way? I'm okay with the Fatal 4-Way, but maybe if they do bad blood or whatever, you may want to consider putting them inside Hell in a Cell. Seth Rollins and CM Punk. But will they do that? Who knows? But yeah, thank you for your thoughts in the live chat, Tyler. I'm going to check out here, guys. I know we talked about a lot in the 45-ish minutes we were live here. But leave your guys' thoughts down in the comment section below everything we talked about. And once again, slap a like on the video, subscribe or comment on my channel. Follow me on Twitter as well, the Clubman93, and TikTok and Instagram, Clubman1993. I'll check it out, guys. I'll catch y'all later. Have a great rest of your night, and do not forget, in order to be superior to the man, you've got to be the man. And for I am the man himself. And that is not just an opinion, my friends. That is a fact of life. Yeah.